gotta turn that off because I think it's loud. Or maybe just turn it down. I think that's the answer. Yeah. Oh, I still get some air blowing on me. Goodness. Hello, weirdos. I have parfait that I made in this like cauldron mug and coffee as well from one of my favorite coffee places close to me. And today, as you can probably tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in June. And June was a very gay month for me, obviously. But it was so gay that I had to put this video into 2 videos because I read too many books. And if I were to talk about all of the books that I read, it would just be too long of a book. And that is because I read 29 books in the month of June. And the biggest category being, of course, LGBTQ, for obvious reasons. Another incentive for me to put this into 2 is that I will be visiting family and I won't have time to film or edit things, nor will I feel comfortable doing that with family next week. So we're doing this in 2 parts. Let's get started. The first book is a book that I really enjoyed, and that is A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. This is by Foz Meadows. This, first of all, when I was reading this, and I read the trigger warnings, and it said rape depicted on screen, and I was like, okay, so that's gonna happen at some point. No, it happens in the 2nd chapter, so be ready for that. I think that it's handled really well in this. I really appreciated how it was handled. And I was like, see, this is how you put rape into fantasy, where you don't make it a tragic backstory for like a female character, or as a way to like punish a female character, which I feel is like how a lot of fantasy writers do rape, especially male fantasy writers. And Foz Meadows is queer, so yeah, anyway. But this, you are following 2 dudes. Really, you're following one main dude. And he has been told by his father that he is going to be married to this woman. And he's gay, and he's like, oh, well, I guess I have to for my country. And his ex doesn't take it super well. Lo and behold, it is found out that he does not like women, that he is attracted to men. And so the arrangement changes from being to, this country's daughter to being this country's son. And it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of political stuff that also happens in this as well. And I just really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the like non-binary rep in this, but I'm also like a sucker for like an arranged marriage plot. So that's just me. But yes, I really enjoyed this. The next book that I read is A Lady for Duke. This is by Alexis Hall. This is the first book that I've read by Alexis Hall. And I love this. This is, the classical like Regency-esque era romance, and one of the people is a trans woman. The lady is a trans woman. It's very much that like her and her beloved, they grew up together, they were best friends together, they went off to war together. She was presumed dead, and now she has come back into her best friend's life because she has just heard that he is absolutely miserable and she does not want him to be miserable. And it's cute and it's great, and I really liked it. I had a fun time with it. So much fun. Yeah, I would really recommend it. I'm like, okay, gotta check out what else Alexis Hall has done. Some of the stuff doesn't seem super intriguing to me. Like, I know everybody raves about boyfriend material, but I just don't find that plot to be intriguing. But anyway, that's this one. Next book that I read, also I'm only showing you 15 of these. Next book is I read To Paradise by Hanya Hinagarara. And this is like 3 books in one. And so the first book, which I think was my favorite, you are following this like young, wealthy man and his entanglement in someone from the South who is a refugee, who he doesn't necessarily supposed to like. And their romance, their World War romance, I really enjoyed the first third of the book. I think the first third was my favorite part. But I don't know, I'm just like a sucker for like a romance, especially queer romances. The second part is how do I like, the second part's like split into two. Second part is about this young Hawaiian man as he is trying to making it in the big city of, I think, Manhattan, is in love. Well, he is dating this man and has constantly dating this older gentleman, and he constantly has this pull to go back home to take care of and deal with his father, because his family they were royalty on Hawaii, and the relationship that his father had with his best friend, which is the second part, which is interesting. And then the last part is like in the future, and it is this like totalitarian like society, like this dictatorship where everyone has like where the government has a stranglehold on things, and you are following this man in a series of like letters writing to friends like across the sea, like in England, talking about how the world got to be the way it is. And you're also following this young woman and seeing her relationship in this society. And all these stories are gay, and they're all connected in various ways. And I think that I still haven't wrapped my brain around this, and I'm a little bit sad on how the last one ended, because it ends very much like on you can draw your own conclusion as what you thought happened. And I know what I want to have happened, but I don't know if it's the truth. And I'm just very confused after reading this. I thought it was really good, and I'm very intrigued to read more by this author. The only problem is that the really only option for more from this author is A Little Life, and that some of my coworkers love. And I'm just like, but I heard that it's trauma porn, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. So I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you think I should read A Little Life. But I did enjoy this, and I think that the author is a remarkable storyteller. So yeah, this is heavy. I'm gonna put this down now. Okay, continuing on, we have a smutty book. We have The Court of the Vampire Queen. This is by Katie Robert. This is like originally like 3 independently published books that were all kind of smushed into one. But you are following this young woman who, she's like a vampire, so she's like half a vampire, and her father is like bent on like seeking control over this world and control over like other vampires. And so she is sent to live with this one vampire who's been starving for a long time to be fed off of and probably like killed. But how her father wants to like acquire power is by like having control over the bloodlines, and how he's trying to do that is by getting his children pregnant with everybody from like these different bloodlines. And so she's sent there kind of because like, oh, like if she dies then it's fine, and if she gets pregnant then that's also fine. And she is, through this vampire, introduced to 2 other vampires, at least 2 other vampires, and let's just say fuck pile happens. I really liked that. I liked that it wasn't just like all of the men being like, ooh, we want to be with you. It was like all of the men wanted to be with each other too. So I really like the poly representation in this. I super enjoyed that. And yeah, I'm really liking Katie Robert as like a smutty like go-to author, because I just think her stuff is fun and enjoyable. The next book that I read is The Sunbearer Trials. This is by Aiden Thomas. Y'all know I love Aiden Thomas' work. This is the first book in a like duology, so there's going to be another one. I do not know when the next one is coming out. Excuse me, and I am angry because I want to know when the next one's coming out, and I want it out now, and I want it out yesterday. You're following Theo, who is trans and is a bird, like is in the bird clan. Like his mother is a goddess of like the bird clan, and you're following a bunch of semidioses as they are competing in what they call the Sunbearer Trials, which is a way for soul to get like more energy and be replenished and like provide more like light and sun for the world. The kicker is that the loser is sacrificed. You find out throughout the course of this book that there are more sinister things afoot than everyone originally intended. And how do you handle those more sinister things? I don't want to give out more because that'll like spoil the entire plot of the book for you. But I really enjoyed this. Oh, and there's like a blossoming romance between Theo and another character that is like almost like an enemies to lovers type situation, except we haven't gotten to the lovers part. I'm guessing that's going to come in book 2, and I'm impatient. Continuing on, we have a book that I don't actually have a copy of, and that would be Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. And I read this because my dog chose this. It's part of the Goodreads awards that I do, and this is in the category of mystery and thriller. And I didn't really enjoy it. Basically, you're going backwards in time. You're following a mother who witnesses her son murder somebody, and she is constantly going backwards in time to figure out why her son did this thing. And you're also getting like interjections of this like undercover police officer. And I just didn't care. I'm like, okay, like, whatever, your son has committed this murder. Like, I don't know. I did not find it super compelling, and I didn't really like it. Unfortunate. Oh well. The next book that I finished is the last book in the Scum Villains Self-Saving System. This is by Mo Shan Tongshu, and this is officially like the first published book that I've read that she's wrote, or at least series. First series that I finished. I have read all of the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, but not all of the translation, and I am like halfway through Heaven's Official's Blessing, and I've just decided to start over Heaven's Official's Blessing because it's just like, it's so much, and I figured out a new way to read these books that I think would work better than how I was doing it before. Plus, I'm closer to the end, honestly. Like, we're only waiting for 2 more of those books to be published, and then they will all be published, and that'll be really exciting. Anyway, but this is essentially all of the extras inside of this, and I like wasn't expecting that. And there are various stories in here that some of them I thought were funny and some of them I didn't. It just is like, if you view this last book as a short story collection, it's almost like optional to read, but like not really if like you're a fan, which I am. And I don't know, I think it's like there's a love story in here between Shang Qinghua, which is the author of like the original story, and Mo Boy Jun, who's like a demon. And I thought that was cute. The wedding is great. I don't want to say there's a lot in here that involves the main character's sex life. There isn't, but it's just constantly talked about in the fandom, and I have a different take. I just think the problem is that because too big. That's what I think the problem is. I don't think that that he's bad. It's that he's too big. Anyway, it's cute. They're cute. And this is way more comedic and I think hilarious than the other 2 books in this. The other 2 books, other 2 series that MXTX has written. I would say check it out. Why not? Not much else to say there on that front. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is another MXTX book, and that is the manhwa. This is the 2nd volume. Look at this art. How far does this get in the book? I do not remember. Oh, okay. So it gets a little bit far. But we finish up, we go back in time in this book. So it definitely covers all of the 2nd episode in The Untamed. And then we go back into the past and we are in the Cloud Recesses arc, essentially. The Studying at Cloud Recesses arc. And they have just encountered the Waterborne Abyss. And I'm sorry for people who have zero understanding of what the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation is, but I'm not going to waste my breath trying to explain it to you. It's good. Check it out. I do not know how many of these graphic novels that there are going to be, but there are going to be a lot, and I'm happy. And here we have some of the art. here's maybe like a better like non-stylized version of the art. My one gripe is I wish it didn't say the comic here. You can see it says the comic. I wish it said manhwa or graphic novel, because I just think in America a comic makes it feel more juvenile, makes it seem like this is appropriate for children, and it's not. It's rated 15 plus. I wonder if that's gonna change, if we're gonna get the like explicit things. I don't know. I hope we do, personally. Yeah, but that's a Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the manhwa second. Like if it just a graphic novel or manhwa, I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. Another comic or graphic novel that I read is Lore Olympus. This is volume 4. This covers which episodes? Episodes 76 to 102 from the webtoon. This is by Rachel Smithy. I really like this. We get the whole what Persephone's past with Eros is. I enjoyed it. I really like this series. I'm having fun. Here's some art from the inside. I'm impatient. I want them all to be published. I can't believe we're only on volume 4. I don't know when volume 5 is gonna come out, but these are taking a while. But they're fun, and I like getting like the hardcover stuff. I'd like to have like just them all like all lined up. Yeah, I don't know. Lore Olympus is really great. I don't even know how far it is on Webtoon because I stopped following it there because I was like, I don't know. Should I try and find where I left off? I don't even remember where I left off. So in a way, I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. If you think I should try and find where I left off on that, because it's just so long. It's just so long. All right. Continuing on, we have another sequel, and this is The Dark Forest by Shixin Liu. This is the sequel to Three Body Problem. I was reading Three Body Problem and my students were like, you have to read The Dark Forest. Even my coworkers, my friends, they were like, you have to read The Dark Forest. It's like the best one in the series. And yeah, it's the best one in the series. Although I haven't read the third one. And I I was at my brother's graduation when I opened this, and I sent my student an email. I was like, it has started, and it was just a video of me opening the book during my brother's graduation. Okay, to be fair, it was 4 hours long, and there was like over 700 people that they needed to graduate, so I brought books with me. I don't even know like how to summarize this. Let's just say there's another moment in this that is like one of the like top 5 moments or top 10 moments in literature ever, in terms of that had my brain on the floor. Emailed my student again, and I was like, so it's happening, and I just like can't. I really like the whole dark forest metaphor. I really like that, and I was like, oh, okay. I really liked how at the end they were like, oh, we're gonna light up this whole forest, and I was like, ah! I was like screaming. I was like, so like it's really, really cool. That whole metaphor. I really liked that. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like a positive ending. And then my student was like, sure. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. And my coworker was like, maybe don't read on that. And I was like, no. What happens in the third one? I do have the third one. You can see Deaths and right here. And I'm nervous. There's a fourth one too, and I'm just nervous. I think I will read the third one because the third one is translated by Ken Liu, which I love Ken Liu so fucking much. So I'm like, okay, I will read it. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the rest of this series. Why did I pull these out? I have to put them back. Okay. Moving on, the next one is another like slutty one. Oh no. And that is The Lord of Eternal Night. This is by Ben Alderson, and it is like, there are these witches, and every single year they give a sacrifice to this vampire dudes. The sacrifices all wind up dying, and the witches want to destroy this vampire dude, murder him. They specifically like raise the sacrifice this year, Jack. They raise Jack so that Jack can be the one to murder the vampire dude, because Jack has like these powers that can kill the vampire dude. And let's just say shit happens, smut happens. Yeah. And it's first in a series, and I do have more in the series, not on my shelves currently, because I'm going to be starting the second book in this series. But yeah, that's the, I guess, somewhat summary of this. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. Obviously, I'm reading on. The next book that I finished is Ocean's Echo. This is by Everina Maxwell. And again, this is another knock out of the park, at least for me. Everina also wrote Winter's Orbit. I was going to call it like Mountain something. And I was like, no, Winter's Orbit, which I really enjoyed last year. And so I pre-ordered this. Or not pre-ordered, but I don't know. I ordered this and I really, really enjoyed it. This is another queer story that also is a romance, but not in like the same way that Winter's Orbit was. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have as nice of a bow on it. I'll say that. So in this world, there are neuromodified people. So people who have like extra abilities in their brain. And the biggest categories are readers, people who can like read your mind, and architects who can make you do things. And there are various like abilities. So Tannel is he's like the nephew of someone very important in the government who is causing mischief, who likes to cause mischief. He is sent in the army to be forcefully synced, which just basically means that his mind is going to be controlled by an architect, and they're going to be like mentally linked together. And he is not super excited about this. He and his synced architect devise various plans. Yeah. And feelings happen. That's my best summary. I really enjoyed this. If you liked Winter's Orbit, check out Ocean's Echo. I'm really jazzed with the stuff that Everina is putting out. Yeah, I'm a fan, and you just can't beat the freaking cover art. It's awesome. This is definitely feels like more space opera-y than Winter's Orbit, because you are traveling to all of these different planets and like bopping around. But that is Ocean's Echo. The next book that I'm going to show you is This Poison Heart. This is by Caitlin Bayron, and I liked this book, and it felt very, very slow in places for most of this book. This is the first book in a series, and you can really tell that this is like set up for things larger to happen later on in the series. But you have this young black girl named Briseis. She has always had this affinity with plants that is supernatural. And she has been told that her biological aunt has passed away and willed her her entire estate. Briseis, growing up with two moms, kind of going from paycheck to paycheck, was not expecting this. And so they move to this place and stuff starts happening. And I don't want to give much else away. And yeah, it was a very interesting start. I will probably pick up this second book and start the second book at some point. Excuse me. I'm not super urgently needing to do that, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. And it's fine. It just knows that it really takes a while for interesting things to start happening, because you really are wandering around this town, learning about this town. I did enjoy the romance that does develop between Briseis and another person, and it's good. I like that. There's lots of really interesting things that are happening, but a lot of important things don't start happening until, like, I would say the latter half of this. The next book, this is the second to last book I'm going to talk about in this video, and that is Phoenix Extravagant by Yoon-Ha Lee. This is, we're in a world, I think the setup and everything in this is interesting. I just don't know how much I actually liked this book, if that makes any sense. First of all, you're following a non-binary main character, which I really liked. And in this world, you have these like automatons that like can move and stuff like that, that you can make, but how they are imbued with magic is by painting magic runes on them, and how the paint is made is by sacrificing important artifacts and art. And so that is really interesting, that whole aspect of how that stuff works. And you are following a main character who is a painter who gets roped into making these automata, and through that becomes a spy, essentially. And there's all this political shenanigans that are happening. And I think where it kind of falls apart for me was I just wasn't super invested in the political shenanigans, and that is a large part of this book. So there's a lot of parts that like I liked in this. Yeah, I just don't know how to feel about this book yet. So there you go. That's Phoenix Extravagant. It is so warm in here. The last book that I am going to talk about is Braiding Sweet Grass. This is by Robin Wall Kimber, and the subtitle for this is Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. Robin is an indigenous ecologist, botanist person, and this is essentially a series of not necessarily short stories, essays would be a good way to think about this, on different aspects of nature and our relationship with nature and Robin's relationship with nature. And I really enjoyed this. There's something about Robin's writing that I find very hypnotic and it draws you in. I don't know like what to call it, in a way that other writers who I think are trying to do don't really do, or don't do it as effectively as I think this author does. And she is able to just weave her ponderings, her wanderings, in with larger picture things in a way that I think just works. What can I say? I enjoyed this book. I really like this. I would say pick it up, try it out. Yeah, there you go. A little bit anticlimactic of an ending there. But this is the part one. The part two will be coming out next week. I don't know why I'm so yawny today. I'm probably gonna cool off because I'm very hot and very sweaty right now, and probably finish up my food and film the other part. All right, see you around. Bye bye.